In this project, what you're going to do is you're going to make a color wheel that looks like it's exploding out so that you can create flames, triangles, squares, trapezoids, roots, layers coming off, however you want to do it, bubbles, grapes, whatever you want. But what you're going to do is be creative and draw it out. And what I really want you to do is practice with the paintbrush. You're going to be using the paint tray now, and you'll be using these colors on this side here. There's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and they should be right next to each other in the paint tray. And what you're going to do is try to get them nice, neat, and clean as you're painting. After you draw out your color wheel, then you're going to paint them in. The paper that you're going to be using for this is 16 inches across this way, 16 from here up to here. And so the best thing to do to begin with is to measure in 8 inches from the side, either side, and put a dot at the 8-inch mark. Then measure up from the bottom 8 inches. Line it up with that dot that you had up here, and that should be the center of your paper right there. So I'm going to put a dark dot right there so you can see it. And then what's going to happen is you're going to take your compass and you can set the pencil point at 2 inches and the compass point at the 2-inch mark. And then take your compass and draw a 2-inch radius circle, which will give you a 4-inch circle, or 2.5. I'm going to use 2.5 just because I like a 5-inch circle. It's going to be a bigger circle for this color wheel. Then, if you want to use a compass, you can do that. Or I've also got these templates that are 5 inches across. They're a 2.5-inch radius. And if you take a pencil and kind of line it up with that little mark that you made right in the center of the paper, what happens is there's a little dot or a little hole in the center here that'll work out. I'm going to line it up so that these lines are straight up and down like this. And then I'm going to draw around the outside to get a nice circle. So you might be able to just barely see that. Okay, so here's your circle. And now let's make the lines like this. And I've already divided the circle up so it's even angles right here. What you do is you take your pencil and make a little mark at each one of those. And that's going to help you divide up this paper so it can look like a color wheel explosion. So then I've got that. And the way I'm going to start this, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to divide this like this. I'm going to take a black marker so you can see what's going on. You can either start at the center and come all the way out, or go from the dot all the way across this way. And then I'm going to go up to here and do the same thing. Then take your ruler, line it up with the center and the next dot, and divide it up here. So it's kind of like in here it looks like slices of the pie. Out here it's just going to go all the way to the edge like this. And then go over to here to get that set like this. Let's go all the way out here. So it's like that. Then here, let's do this one. So I'll line up with that dot in the center. It should go right across here. Now let me take this ruler, come all the way down to here, so that we've got this like that. And then let's do this up to here too. And line it up with the center and this one and draw it all the way out there. It's going to be like this. Now let's set up the colors. I use the formula Roy G. Biv. It's R-O-Y-G-B-V. So Roy, let's put up R right here. That's red, orange here, yellow here, G here, Biv, B, V, here like this. And I'm going to erase these eventually, but it just gives you, so it's ROYGBV. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Now what's going to happen, I'm going to start to create a design so that it looks like this is exploding out the side. You can use circles, you can use different shapes, you can use the same shape in each one. Like if you want to use circles, getting big circles to small circles, whatever you want to do. I'm going to use different size circles in one. I'm going to use as if the edge is breaking apart here and exploding out. So it's going to be different things happening around here to give you ideas. But I want you to be creative in how you make this like a coloring book. So you're going to draw the edges and then you're going to paint it in with your paint. So let me start with that now. On the red, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a red marker, and it's just a fine point. I'm going to draw it around here with red, so you could use markers and then paint it in with watercolor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along this edge and go like this and make this one look like flames exploding out. And as it's close to the main part of the circle, what's going to happen is they're going to be big, and as they go out, I'm going to make them smaller. So let's do this. Next is orange. I'm going to use an orange marker to make the edge of this. And what happens is I'm going to do triangles on this one. So let's go ahead and do that. Now on the yellow, instead of drawing it in yellow so you wouldn't be able to see it, I'm going to use a black marker just to outline. I'm going to make it like layers or ripples are coming off this, breaking off. So I'm going to start out with this coming in here like this, and then maybe putting a little crack right here, and then kind of coming in here a little bit more, and then maybe a chunk out here. Now when I think of green, I think of things that are growing, roots, and so this one's going to kind of be a root system blowing out this way. Next is blue. And when I think of blue, I think of ice for some reason. Ice or water or whatever. But I'm going to use ice, and I'm going to make kind of ice cube shapes. So they're going to be squarish trapezoidal shapes. This time what I'm going to use is a combination of black and purple to color this one in. So here's my exploding color wheel. Over here I've got red with flames, and I've got orange with yellow triangles kind of coming off, and as they go out they get smaller. Here it's like blocks and layers breaking off of ripples for the yellow. The green is like this root system coming out here. The blue is like ice cubes coming out this way, and the purple is like grapes or bubbles moving out this way. And now we're ready to start painting it in. Here's the paint set. The paint sets don't look as nice as this one does. This is a new one, but if you put water on the top, it should be just as good. You've got your red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple over here on this side. On the other side is tints of it, like this is a reddish purple, a bluish purple, a green blue, kind of an aqua, a yellow green, a yellow orange, and an orange red. So what happens is I would use these colors here. That's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So let's start with the yellow and do this one down here. And what I'm going to do is take my water, and you take a little bit of water, put it on top of your color. I've got two size brushes here. I've got this one, well actually three, but I'm going to use the medium one. Mix your paint on top, just get it wet, and then load your brush up and watch how far the paint goes. If I start going like this on this area, let's just see what it does. And the more you paint, the farther you spread the paint that's in the paintbrush, the lighter it's going to become. So I want you to experiment with getting the darker, more solid color up here and see if you can get it lighter as it comes down away from the center. So let's do that. Did you see how when I was working on it, I worked from the center out so that I keep my hand from getting in the wet paint? And then I just rotated the paper, and I'm going to do my green now. So I'm going to come to that, I'm going to mix it up on top of the paint, and I can use the lid or this palette up here too if I need to make some green. And just make sure that you wipe it out with a Kleenex at the end of class so the next person doesn't have such a messy lid to work with. But like if I start here, start with my green, put a little bit up here, you can even have that ready to go and just kind of work it like this, or you can work in here right in the dish. And so I'm going to start here. Again, I'm going to just see if I can get it darker, more solid up here, and then fade as it's coming out. Here's one thing I wanted to show you too. Do you see the water that's kind of sitting along this edge? If you take your paintbrush and squeeze out the extra water by taking your finger over the top and kind of pushing this and just pulling out the extra water, if you take your paintbrush, you can use it like this as a sponge drawing up the water. And then you can put it back down if you want to kind of smooth it out. So your paintbrush is going to be much more of a tool than you realized. Next is blue. One thing I forgot to say is be really careful not to touch where the paint is already wet. Like for instance, if I touch with my blue next to the green, it'll bleed into that area. And so just be careful to maybe just leave a little space so it's dry between these two colors. Have a Kleenex ready to go in case it does bleed over, and then you can dry it up and repaint it. Next is purple. And so I'm going to do the same as I did with the earlier colors. Make sure that I don't touch here with the blue or they'll mix. So let's go with the purple. By the way, what I did is I put a little bit of salt in here where the paint was kind of pooling and it's going to crystallize and create a cool texture. You're welcome to try that. Now I'm going to go to the red and do this one next. And this is going to be the flames coming out this way. Now the last section I'm going to do is going to be the orange, and I'll do that now. Here's the finished color wheel explosion. So you've got your red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Roy, R-O-Y, G for green, Biv, blue, and violet or purple. Notice too, please clean out your paintbrush or paint holder lid. See how I cleaned this out and wiped it out so it's clean for the next person. But be creative. Think about what shapes could come out from the center exploding, and the shapes might get smaller as they get to the edge. And you might use the same shape. You might use triangles for the whole thing and just have fun with it. Again, I tried some salt here. I had a Kleenex ready to dab up if the paint ran anywhere.